Assessment is one of the key components in education today. There are so many different forms of assessment that teachers can make use of, which sometimes can make choosing one type overwhelming. It is possible for different forms of assessment to be assigned to individual students based upon how a student learns and how a student feels they can display their knowledge of a lesson. If a student can produce a well-thought-out paper on a subject which shows his or her understanding of the topic, then the child may find that a test will not properly display their knowledge. If a student does in fact know the information given to them but has anxiety about taking a test, then the assessment may not accurately display how much the student knows. With its many flaws, some call into question whether or not certain forms of assessment should even be carried out anymore. While one student may find that producing a project will help them better understand a subject matter, another may prefer to take an exam. The problem here is that teachers have a history of simply giving each student the same form of assessment, thus ignoring each student's individual needs. Assessment, similar to learning, comes in different styles, and each student has a different style in which they prefer and benefit from. The centered idea around education is that students should leave the classroom knowing more than they did before they entered. Education is about learning, and assessment is how educators measure a student's learning. Assessment is the base of education. Without assessment, teachers would have no way of understanding how a child is observing the information he or she is learning in the classroom. The purpose of education, according to Grant Wiggins, is to educate and improve student performance, not merely audit it. Students struggle in the classroom would have no way of expressing their worries unless they spoke up to the teacher. Assessment allows for teachers to become aware of the students who are in need of extra help, as well as the students who are excelling at their work. Assessment is created to benefit the student, not the teacher, not the school district, and not the state. This idea has seemed to become lost and misconstrued over the past decade with the implication of more testing and less creativity. In the following clip of a TED Talk, creativity expert Ken Robinson explains the main issue regarding assessment in teaching overall in education.
The dropout crisis is just the tip of an iceberg. What it doesn't count are all the kids who are in school but being disengaged from it, who don't enjoy it, who don't get any real benefit from it. And the reason is not that we're not spending enough money. America spends more money on education than most other countries. Class sizes are smaller than in many countries, and there are hundreds of initiatives every year to try and improve education. The trouble is, it's all going in the wrong direction. There are three principles on which human life flourishes, and they are contradicted by the culture of education under which most teachers have to labor and most students have to endure. The first is this, that human beings are naturally different and diverse. Can I ask you, how many of you have got children of your own? Okay. Or grandchildren? How about 2 children or more? Right. And the rest of you have seen such children? Small people wandering about. I will make you a bet, and I'm confident I will win the bet. If you've got 2 children or more, I bet you they are completely different from each other, aren't they?
The issue surrounding assessment is that not all students benefit from the typical multiple choice test administered by their teachers. Assessment's purpose is to measure student success. This can only be done if the assessment gives the student the opportunity to showcase their capabilities to full capacity. As seen through Howard Gardner's multiple intelligence theory, every student has a different strong suit and a different way of learning. If it is known that students learn differently, as well as test differently, then why are students assessed the same? One student who may excel in the area of logic may perform best while taking an exam, but his or her counterpart, who has a more creative mind, may struggle through testing and would not be given the opportunity to showcase their full understanding of the material. Yet schools continue to ignore these differences and make learning and assessment as common as possible. Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences explains the importance of incorporating different learning styles associated to different intelligences into the classroom so that each student has the same chance of succeeding. Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences reveals students not only learn differently from each other, but that they also should be assessed differently from one another. This is where different forms of assessment come into play. More options for assessment gives a student a better chance of finding what works for them and what will help them succeed in their education. Furthermore, alternatives to testing allow students who do not find testing an accurate display of their knowledge to find their niche and intertwine their learning styles with assessment. The solution to the testing problem in education is to provide students with options. Teachers should give students the power when it comes to assessment by permitting them to choose how they are assessed. In order for this idea to be set in place, it is important to go through the steps. First, a student must creatively generate an idea for their assessment and then conference with their teacher to receive approval for the idea. The teacher will then create a rubric or other grading system for the assignment and will supervise the student's work throughout the process. If a student feels as though a test would best display their knowledge on a subject, then a test is the assessment that he or she should be given. Testing is not the enemy. It is the limitations that previous assessment ideas have placed upon students. By forming their own assessments, students will need to have a better understanding of the topic they are learning. Also, by giving more responsibility to students, teachers will force students to want to prove that they can handle these responsibilities and therefore will put more effort into their learning. Interpretive assessment allows for more fun in education, as well as more opportunities for students to be creative.